Thank you, and good afternoon. This afternoon we're going to be talking about handling objections and closing the sale. Two very important parts of the sale. On the one hand, there's the objections, vitally important, and then on the other hand, of course, the close. The most important part of the sale is the close, and we're going to look at both of those issues. What we're going to try and do today is separate them out. The close and objections can often get intertwined, and because of that sometimes they're badly handled. So today we're going to try and separate them out. Firstly, we're going to look at the close, and then secondly, and for the last half of this session, we're going to be looking at objections and how to manage those difficult objections. Two parts of any sale. But I wonder, before we get stuck into any of this, how many salespeople have we got in the room? How many salespeople? Whoa, everybody. Everybody, pretty much. Anybody not in sales? Anybody not in sales? Great, great, fantastic. I love working with salespeople. They're so exciting to work with salespeople. And I work with all sorts of different groups, but in my experience, salespeople are much more fun than any other group. I'm sure you're not going to let me down today. It's dangerous to say that, isn't it? Because you never know. But I'm sure we're going to have some fun as well. That must be a target here today as well. Okay, firstly, the close. The most important part of the sale is the close. If you don't close, you're working for your opposition. And I mean that in a very literal sense. If you don't close, you're working for your opposition. How it works is very simple. Let's imagine you go to a customer and you uncover their needs. You provide all your benefits to satisfy those needs, so they get quite excited. So do you. Then they demonstrate buying signals, so you know they're quite keen, but you don't ask for the business. You leave it with them. You say to them something like, well, there you go, Mr. Customer. I'll leave that with you if you like. Perhaps you'd like to give me a ring tomorrow or the next day. Oh, well, that's not closing at all, is it? But we do that. We do that very regularly. We leave it with them, or we don't actually ask for the business. The problem is, tomorrow your competitor will go in there. And he doesn't have to do any work. You've done it already for him. All the competitor has to say is, do you want to buy, Mr. Customer? And the customer says, yes, sure, and that's it. If you don't close, you're working for your opposition. You build the customer up, then your competitors come and take the business. If you don't close, you're working for your opposition. Quite frankly, if you don't close, you probably will be working for your opposition next year anyway. Better be in control of this. Better be closing the sale whenever you can. Always be looking for those opportunities to close the sale. But what is it about the close that we don't like? Why don't we close the sale so often as we should do? Anybody? What it is about the close that we don't like? Anybody know why? Yes?
Scared of rejection.
Absolutely right. We're scared of rejection. We're frightened of the no. The no answer. It's true, isn't it? We hate the word no with an absolute passion. We hate the word no. And so much so, in fact, you know, when you get the word no, you've built the customer up, you've got him all excited, but then you ask for the business and he wasn't ready to close right now, so he says, no, I'm not interested. And how do you feel? You feel dreadful, don't you? Your heart pounds, your shoulders go down, you drag your briefcase out of the office. Terrible, terrible, terrible. You feel really awful. And of course, because that makes you feel awful, you try and avoid that rejection because you don't like feeling bad. And because of that, you avoid asking the question. So we hate the word no with an absolute passion. The funny thing is, of course, we've forgotten what no means. We think that no means no. And that's ludicrous. No doesn't mean no. Our children understand that, don't they? Well, don't they? I mean, our children understand that when you say to the child, no, that's it, the children only understand that that is just the next stage in the negotiation. They know very well that they can go on from there, keep asking, and eventually you'll get ground down and you say, okay, but don't tell your mum. You know, so it's very, very simple, and we should be thinking along the same lines with our customers. If a customer says no, it is just the next stage in the negotiation. That's it. You must understand that it's simply the next stage. Customer says no, then presumably they have a reason for saying no. And it's your job to find out what that reason is. You must say to the customer, I'm sure you've got a good reason for saying no, Mr. Customer. Do you mind if I ask what it is? So let the customer find out from the customer, and then the customer will tell you whatever it is. Perhaps you'll say, no, because I've got a quote from your competitors and then they're cheaper, or I've heard your service is not very good, or a number of other different reasons. You're far too expensive. But now, what you're getting now, of course, is objections. And we're going to be showing you how to handle those later on. So when the customer says no, find out why he says no. In fact, salespeople the world over struggle with this asking for the business. I saw an example. I was reading about a company in America. They have, it's an insurance company. They have 400 salespeople. And they were concerned because their strike rate was getting eroded. So they identified 400 pretend customers. These were customers who were asked to pretend to be customers, and each one of those customers was given to a salesman as a lead. And the customers were asked to behave in a certain way. If the salesperson asked for the business, if the salesperson in a direct way asked for the business, the customer was told to say yes. But if the salesman didn't ask for the business in a direct way, the customer was told to say no, I'm not interested. 400 salespeople went out with these 400 leads. Only 25 came back with the business. Only 25. That means 375 well-trained, highly experienced salespeople found 375 different ways of avoiding that question. Now, that's America, certainly, but recently I've been doing a lot of work with Chubb, and they've done a similar exercise here, Chubb Security. And their results were that 25% of their salespeople are asking the question on a regular basis. So 75% of their salespeople were not asking for the business. We as salespeople are notorious for not asking for the business. But we've got to get used to doing it. Ask the question. If you don't ask, you're never going to get the yeses you deserve. So you must get into the habit of asking that question.